Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
I've been missing you for a while.
I'm sorry. I've been in the building. It's just I've been staying in the office.
Busy, busy, busy. I can
Yeah,
imagine.
I'm a little nervous about COVID, so I try to stay away from people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Hello.
yeah, I was there. Hi. I was there Monday, Tuesday. Today I took the day to work remotely. So
Mhm.
help Abby because she doesn't like to listen to my mother.
Mhm.
So we had a little come to Jesus meeting and we're all good. And today was a great day.
That's a good kind of meeting.
Yes. It's like you will not disrespect my mother.
Hi guys. I just emailed
Hi.
the agenda. Sorry. I thought I did
It's
it
okay.
yesterday.
And look, I thought what happened was when I saw the two items come to me, I think it was like the minutes from last month, when I saw that come through twice, and I was like, oh, okay. So I printed out
I
the
know.
stuff that I needed, and I was like, okay, we're good.
I know. I have it printed out. I just didn't attach it somehow. I don't know.
And did you get the budget report from Miss Rose?
No.
Okay.
She's supposed to send me something?
Yeah, I asked her to send it to you for the SBDM meeting.
Okay.
And me. I think she sent it to me as well. Let me look.
She did not send it to me. I'm going to text her right now and find out if she did or not. What's going on?
She only sent it to me. So I will forward it to you.
Okay.
So that you have it for the record.
Okay.
And then what I will do is I will forward it on to everybody. Or could you send it to everybody? Because I don't think I have everybody's email address. Let me.
Yeah.
Yeah, do that. Wait a minute. I don't want to. It's sideways, so that won't be good for me to show it. That way. I'll print it out and I'll just.
I'll turn sideways and look.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Hello, everyone.
This PDF scan?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Hello.
I will be doing the Zoom by remote today. I got to take, Laura had to take Alec to Bryan Station Middle School track cross country practice, and I'm having to take Bryce to his Liberty practice. So I will be doing everything by remote today, but I wanted to be on. So
Okay, well, that's fine.
doing the best we can. Doing the best we can, right?
We're very flexible with everything that's going on. Just glad to see everybody's face or their picture, and everybody's doing well. Okay, so I will go ahead and start sharing my screen once I figure out how to do it. I think I want that one. And then I want to go to, does anybody know how to move this bar at the top and keep it from sliding down every time I try to click on something?
Which bar?
You know how when you're sharing your screen and that you are, oh, look at that. What? Just figured out something. Okay. All right. I just learned something, guys. All right. The time is now 5 o'clock and we will call this meeting to order. Could I get someone to second that or make the motion? Or not second it that we're starting at 10 o'clock or not 10 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
I second it.
It's
I
been that
motion
kind of
that
day.
we're starting at 5 o'clock.
Thank you. I don't even know if we're supposed to do that. I just couldn't remember. So the first thing on our agenda, so sorry. I'm so scattered today. Please bear with me. So today's agenda, the first thing will to go over our minutes from the August 12th, and I'm sharing it on my screen. And for Travis, I will read it. I will summarize it. But basically, the meeting was.
I can see it now, so you
Oh,
don't
you
have to do
can?
that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can
I didn't
see
know
it.
if you
but
were
I'm about to
still
hop in the-
driving.
I'm about to hop in the car here in a second, so I can
Okay.
see that for now. So I'll be doing that in about 20 minutes.
Okay. So the meeting was called to order at 5:01. The minutes from our July meeting was approved by Ms. Albright and seconded by Ms. Cooper. We did not have old business. The new business was to review and approve the emergency management plan. And a motion made by Ms. Cooper and seconded by Ms. Albright to approve the emergency plan as written. The Bryan Station Middle School contingency plan for NTI hybrid face-to-face contingency plan was shared. The only portion that was shared during last meeting was the NTI 2DL, and that is when I shared the schedule, talking about how we would have 3 classes per day. In the morning, have advisory meeting, lunch, lunch and then advisory meeting, and then in the afternoon, students would work asynchronously on assignments and getting support from teachers as needed. And that was approved. Oh, sorry, there was some commentary about it. So there were some questions about the schedule as it in its entirety. And then there was a question about having the office hours from 5 to 7. Explained that having those times was to accommodate our families who worked first shift so that they would have an opportunity to get home, look at their students' work, and if they had any questions, then they could ask teachers. And we're just following the 24-hour rule after that. And it was approved. Then there was discussion about school level PPE purchasing. And then I explained about the fact that the school had already purchased items, but if we were to buy anything beyond that, above and beyond what the district had already purchased and was available at the warehouse, that we must have 3 quotes in order to be reimbursed by FEMA. And already the 2 masks have been supplied to all staff members. We put those in the mailboxes, so they have those. We also have the shields for when and if we move into a hybrid model, and we will have to meet kids at the bus loading area, as well as car riders and walkers at the front door. Then there was no other business, no public comment, and the meeting was adjourned at 6:03 p.m. Any questions, concerns? And
No, ma'am.
I'll open the floor for someone to make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I move
Make a motion to approve the minutes. Oh, sorry.
So one of us can
I
be
sec-
the
I second that. I second that.
Okay, Albright, she made the motion to approve, and it was seconded by,
Travis.
what's your last name?
Anderkin. You
Anderkin.
can call me Travis.
Okay,
Please
because I
call me
remember Travis, but I didn't see your picture, and I was like, usually I'll look at it and like, okay, Anderkin. That was seconded
People call
by,
me Anderson. It's been butchered many years, so it's okay.
oh, well, my maiden name, I understand, is Doty, and I lived with that for 30 years, so.
That's
Understood.
better than mine. Mine was Fishback, so you can't. Yeah, don't.
Oh, and you worked in a high school and middle school, I'm sorry.
It was fish head, fish feet, fish everything. Yeah.
Yeah, Doty is Doty, but it was pronounced many ways. And we'll leave it at that. All right, so next on our agenda, I don't know where my agenda is. Hold on.
Old business.
We have no old business. I didn't put, was it, so new business, is it the CSIP plan?
Budget is first on there. Before
Thank
the
you, sorry. Thank you, because I can't see it. So the budget,
Which is sideways.
so basically we have a lot of funds to utilize. Mainly, I just wanted you to have this because we should share it at every meeting. And so I will be sharing this with you, but I just want to let you know up front that we had carry forward funds of about 24,000, but because of COVID and pretty much the fourth quarter of spring semester, we were not operational. So things that we had set aside was not utilized for the funds were not utilized for that because we didn't have school. So we are at almost $32,000 in carry forward. Carry forward is basically monies that were not spent during the fiscal year that you are allowed to carry forward into the new year. And because of that, we will get those funds, but it will probably be about November when they are released into our budget. So that's how Fayette County handles that. But we also have money in Title I because the district this year, because of COVID-19 and going to an NTI model, has purchased Odyssey-ware, which is what our SBDM agreed to purchase in the spring. But Fayette County's already purchased that, a district license for all secondary schools. And then they also purchased Imagine Learning for math and reading and language. I want to say language acquisition, but it's language but it's like the fundamentals of reading. What is it, Ashley? You're muted.
Can you hear me? Literacy, language and literacy.
Yes, language and literacy. And so that will be utilized for tier 2, tier 3, because with Imagine Learning, the language and literacy component only goes up to grade 6. So for 7th and 8th grade students who fall in the 35th percentile or lower would then participate in that literacy and language portion. So our idea of purchasing, what was it, Reading Plus for our tier 2, that was nixed because we were voluntold that we needed to utilize Imagine Learning because the district had purchased a license for every child, K through 8. And then also because we're in secondary, we also have access to Odyssey-ware, which is what we were going to utilize for recovery, as well as to help course recovery, as well as to supplement for courses that did not have curriculum. But the beauty of it is that we also were afforded the opportunity to be in a pilot utilizing My World, which is it's from the same company that produced the math curriculum, Envisions, and it's Savis. And so we, I think it's Leestown and Bryan Station Middle School are the middle schools that are piloting the social studies curriculum. And so our social studies department now has a curriculum to utilize during NTI, and a lot of it is already online and lesson plans are already created. So we have all these funds. The reason why I'm saying this, we have all these funds. We need to start thinking about how we're going to utilize them. And I kind of jumping ahead because I'm getting information really quickly, but also I have to participate in a webinar on Friday because we are ATSI for our EL population under the Kentucky regs. states that we will receive extra funding to support our EL population. So I will get more information then, but we have this 34,000 carry forward. We also have the Title I funds that need to be utilized as well. I believe that's about 14,000. And so the reason why we end up with more funds for Title I, when we put staffing on Title I, at the front end, they go ahead and take out insurance and workman's comp, all of those fees. If a staff member is, let's say, on their spouse's insurance, or they don't take out insurance for whatever reason through Fayette County, then that's how the money comes back to us. And then they have like a round figure of how much that particular staff member's payroll will be. And it may give or take, maybe a little bit higher or maybe a little bit lower. And so that's why we have that remaining balance that needs to be utilized. So that is our budget in a nutshell, even though it is sideways. But the dark numbers right here available, and that tells you like we're not in the red in anywhere. So that's a good thing. Any questions about the budget?
Yes. Will there be things that, Ms. Kirby, that are approached to you that people maybe think that needs to go to, or there'll be kind of something you'll present to us as a, hey, look, these are 3 to 4 areas maybe we need to concentrate this in. Hey, what do you guys think? That type of thing, or?
Yes. So what I will be doing is talking with my instructional leadership team and getting ideas on areas of need that we can start addressing. And then I would bring it to SBDM for approval, because whatever it is, if it's over $500, then it has to come to SBDM for approval.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Question.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yes.
You were saying that a Fayette County school provided the programming, Imagine Learning. They also do it for the immersion department too? 'Cause I know Imagine Learning comes in English and Spanish.
So you're asking if it's a Spanish immersion, like it's in Spanish curriculum? No, it's for the English side of it, because every child in Spanish immersion has to take language arts in English. And then they also take math in English, except for in 6th grade. So like, and Ms. Santiago can speak to this. So there were opportunities where when it was Math Excel, that was all in English. And so the students did that at home as homework assignments, as opposed to in the class, because of course you had to maintain that 100% Spanish. But no, it is not put into Spanish. So what we are finding a lot of times when we're looking at programs and even textbooks, what they're doing, the mindset of a lot of these production companies or distributors is that they're looking at it from the lens of an EL student, not an immersion program. And so I've already spoken with Mr. Castillo, who is working as, he's also a social studies teacher, but he's working as our Spanish immersion instructional coach this year. And he has been in touch with, it's out in Iowa or Idaho. And like a lot of the curriculums that are created comes out of that. And so he's looking into that for materials and supports, because even with the pilot for social studies, when he's teaching US history, it has to be in Spanish. Well, the online assignments and supplementals are all in English. And like even the embedded videos and the virtual field trips, it's all in English. And so that's his concern. And I said, well, I need you to start looking into curriculum that is for immersion, not just looking through the lens of EL.
Okay. Thank you.
It's his task he's supposed to be working on.
I was gonna say, like, what we decide to spend the budget money on, I think will be depending on whether we come back to school or not. Because it could be, materials that we use in the classroom with the students, or things to separate them more from each other, or if we're still out of school, it could be more online material type stuff. So we might just have to wait somewhat.
Well, you're right. That's a nice segue.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. We still, we're in NTI. There are the programs that we're talking about are online. So that's why I was asking about those different programs.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a valid question, but like we're kind of uncharted territory. I don't even know what else to call it. I'm tired of using all these cliches, but like that's the reason why we find ourselves. And I guess it's a good, like I keep trying to find the silver lining in all of this. Like we're good with budgeting. Like I was very reserved and frugal from my first year through because I was just afraid. I did not want to overspend or, not have enough money to have things for students, towards the end of the school year. And then I made sure to still allot for time or money for professional learning. And so now we're seeking out professional learning that can be done virtually to support our teachers. So we're looking at, there was like this online series of professional learnings that are geared towards trainings to support teachers while they're doing the virtual and the hybrid model. Because as we go into a hybrid model, the ideology behind it is that you would only have about 50% of your student population in the building at any one time. And then that other 50% that are at home, they may be on a Zoom receiving the instruction synchronously while it's going on. And so I'm trying to wrap my brain around that. And I have a lot of questions about that. So I'm trying to get clarity on all of that. And right now, my leadership team, I've employed them to start looking at hybrid or blended models from other districts, other countries, and kind of get what are they doing. And then that way I can then share that out with other middle school principals and then other middle school principals, and then get some clarity from that, because right now it's all uncharted territory.
Right.
I do say so. Washington County is doing the hybrid model, and my sister works at the school board there, so I don't mind to reach out to them and see how that's going. And that started here recently. And on that note, there has been word as far as with the virtual learning and the hybrid that they are installing plexiglass at some schools, and that's kind of going out.
We already have our plexiglass.
Awesome. Okay.
Yes. So they started that this summer, but towards the end of the summer, and it's mainly for high population areas like our front desk. So Ms. Duncan has plexiglass in front of her. And then Kathleen in the registrar, she has like a book-in type of plexiglass in front of her because she has to register students and they come in wanting to talk to counselors. And then also in the library in front of Ms. Brewer's circulation desk. So plexiglass is going in those areas. Just yesterday, they're utilizing the bus drivers to go into the buildings and putting down the stickers to indicate, the 6 feet separation and the posters. So we are preparing, but COVID-19 still determines when we go back, is what I was told.
I'm praying it does.
So what's next? Albright, help me.
CSIP.
Thank you. Okay, so CSIP, we went over this summer. I believe it was our June or July meeting. I think it was July meeting. And so the reason why I'm bringing this back up is just to give you an update that we have received word from KDE, and basically all our goals can stay the same because we did not have a state assessment, but we also need to start looking at formative assessments and other types of assessments in the event that we do not have a state assessment. So right now we are in the window for the first component, which is doing the diagnostic to determine our areas of need, but we already are aware of our areas of need. One is the ATSI status for our EL students population, and then also making sure that we close that gap from that COVID gap as well as the summer gap. And what we're doing right now is map testing with a universal screener to get that baseline to see where students are ready to learn for reading and math. So we're starting with that, and then we will start to transition into Galileo to get a baseline for Imagine Learning. And so that tool will be utilized to help support kiddos and their development and growth, and that could be done during that asynchronous time. So I just wanted to share this with you all again, just to let you know where we are. And so at our next meeting, more than likely we will start to our next scheduled meeting in October. We will have that first component completed and ready for sharing and reviewing with you. But that's the reason why I put that on there, just so you are aware. All CSIPs and goals and the strategies, objectives, and activities and measure of success, all of that is due January the 1st. So anything that's in this document, it's a living document, so it changes throughout the year. And if there are any amendments or changes that happen throughout the year, it will definitely come to SBDM to make you aware of it. Are there any questions about our CSIP?
No, ma'am.
No? All right. And then I think the next thing is our contingency planner. And we kind of already started talking about this. So I had a district leadership meeting last Wednesday, a week ago today. And it went from 8:35 until 4:25, 4:35 range. And it was a lot. So basically what I gathered from that meeting was that as a school, as a leadership team, we need to start looking at our hybrid model. Now, we had to complete this entire document. And so I just wanted to go over this portion of it with you because we did talk about the distance learning. So it talked about the transformation framework. I'm not going to read all of this to you because you did receive a copy of this, but it's kind of the same ideology. So when we're talking about grade appropriate assignments, it's going back to that TP in the new teacher program. And so it's the Gates grant and looking at making sure that students are receiving grade appropriate assignments and that we are not, as educators, spending a great deal of time on standards and I guess the level of standards that students should have already have learned in previous grades. I'll use the example. So students are first introduced to inferencing in like 3rd or 4th grade. In 6th grade and 7th grade, we should not see teachers spending a week or 2 weeks on what is inferencing and doing little mini practices with them. It needs to move forward and envelop more of the application phase, like moving from Bloom's taxonomy of, comprehension, but to synthesis and and beyond. So making sure that, and that's one of the things that we're going to be working on through our PLCs with our teachers, is that we're focusing on acceleration of the content and not much on remediation, because data shows that if you expose students who may not be on grade level to grade level content, then that gap will shrink over time much quicker. And so things that was shared was that if you scaffold the information on the front end, like you do a pre-assessment to determine what the students know and don't know, then that way you can differentiate and you can support those students who need that scaffold up. They may need the definitions. And then with our EL population, I know last year we had 82 EL students at our school. I pulled the data, and this year we are up to, for all grades, and this doesn't necessarily mean EL, but we are up to 142. So we have increased. So we need to make sure that we're meeting their needs. That's why we have a 1.5 EL teacher who is doing resource as well as co-teaching with our teachers to provide support to them. But that's one of the things that we need to focus in on, is making sure that we are focusing on acceleration and not the remediation, because we'll have half of the kids in the classroom getting direct instruction from the teachers, and then another half at home still viewing it virtually, either live or as a recording. And then making sure that we have high expectations for students academically and behaviorally in the classroom as well as online, and making sure that we continue to teach that etiquette for online, and making sure that there's strong instruction, that all teachers are trained on the aspects of the medium, and making sure that students are able to be held to that expectation, and then holding teachers accountable for delivering the content virtually, and showing grace and empathy towards, I'd say, teachers and the students when it comes to their online presence. Because we have learned in the first week and a half that there are some glitches. And one of the concerns that came up in our principal meeting was, once we have 100% of the teachers in the class or in the school Zooming at the same time, what does that then do to the broadband and the accessibility? And then keep in mind, we also have about 100 families that are still in need of hotspots. And that is the pressing thing in the district. So that's a concern as well. Making sure that lessons are engaging, that there are activities where students can interact, but in a safe manner. And that's one of the charges that we're looking at, is how can we utilize Kagan strategies, but still maintain that healthy at work and the 6 feet distance and mask and et cetera. Then we look at the school leadership, making sure that the communication and information with staff is available. And then the same principal or grade level administrators will be supporting those grade levels, and still having PLCs to support those teachers and working together. And our support staff will continue to make those connections. So right now we have a line of defense where the teachers and administrative staff all have an advisory group. And so we're checking in and having Zooms with kids periodically, if not every day, and making sure that they have someone to connect with. And then if we're having difficulties in making connections with some families, then our support staff are actually out on the ground doing those home visits and checking on kids and finding out why they are not connecting to their Zoom classes or the school. and that will continue on during the hybrid model. I think it'll be needed much more. And I will say this in this area, another concern when I've met with my leadership team is that in coming up with a plan on how to bring kids back into our building, we have devised 3 major areas: instructionally, organizationally, and behaviorally. And so right now we're focusing in on the organizational way, like systematic systems where we're going to have, how do they come into the building? How are we going to group them together? And we took Ms. Santiago's idea, and right now we're playing around with that to have them in cohorts, and then possibly having the teachers rotate around as opposed to kids moving from place to place. So then we're able to do that contact tracing in the event that there is an active COVID case in our building. So we're trying to plan for everything. If you have any ideas, please feel free to let me know. And if you think of something later, email me, because I'm taking all ideas.
I have questions for the hybrid method in the delivery process, because you're saying that the teacher are going to be accountable for the delivery process. So I don't know if there's any special devices while we were teaching and there's students at home, how it's going to work. Is that in the plan?
That is not in the plan. I am sharing with you what I heard out of my chief's mouth. It was teachers will be at 100% of the teachers will be at school. 50% of the kids will be there. And those teachers will be teaching virtually via Zoom while they have kids in front of them. I have my opinion, and we can talk about that later. But in my mind, I thought, well, so let's say we have a group that's at school on Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday is our cleaning day. Thursday, Friday, we have B group. And let's say that on A group days, B group is at home doing asynchronous or maybe watching recordings of a class. But then kind of like that, what is it called? Not backwards design, was it flipped? Like doing it that way. And that's what I thought in my head. But as soon as my chief said, well, they'll be Zooming, and I'm like, how?
Then one idea that I can give you if we're doing that is that the teachers, all of them, will need bigger monitors. That's one thing, because right now in testing, when I do my Zoom with the kids, I can see all 26 or 28 or 30 kids at the same time. And that will be one great idea for all the teachers to have big monitors, because that way we can see all the kids. And if we have only half of the kids in the classroom, and probably we have the other half, just an example, right? Them in the monitor, and we can still be interacting, not as an effective we've had them in front of us, but at least we can have a better idea what is going on with them at home and the ones that we will have in the classroom, if that is what it's going to be, right? I think we need big monitors, all the teachers, because that will help them a lot, especially in testing. That's an idea.
I will put it out there. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
We also might need mics, like attached little microphones to us. So if we're using masks and everything.
True.
Yep.
True.
I was going to say the same thing. They're going to need bigger monitors. They're going to need something where the students will be able to hear them while they're at home.
Well, according to CDC, and I mean, I'm hearing all kinds of course, this has not come from the health department here or Fayette County or anything, but from my understanding, it was like in other counties and other states that once you're in the classroom, that the teacher does not have to wear the mask. And I'm like, but the teacher didn't have to wear the mask because they are teaching and it does obstruct their voice. So then we're like, okay, can they wear the shield? But does that really protect them? So like I said, this is just information. I've watched a lot of CNN and, you know,
We
Governor.
will need a
I feel like
microphone, a little
teachers-
microphone thing.
I feel like to keep the teachers safe, they should wear a mask. There's
Well.
different ways that you can, and it would be different if the teacher was standing on a podium teaching and like right there with the students. They're not, they're right there with the students. And then what if you have a student that just would not keep their mask on? So
Right,
you have
and
to make
that's come up
yourself-
as well, that, and you know, like the really quick off the cuff principal response is, well, then it's no longer about a mask, it's about defiance and failure to follow directions. And but we're gonna deal with that fight because kids are gonna be removed from classes. And then what if they have a condition where they don't have to wear a mask? Like, how are we going to deal with that? And then let's not talk about the fact that when kids are riding a bus and they're being dropped off and there's not a monitor taking the temperature, we're going to have people out there on the front lines taking temperatures. And then when they come across a child with a high temperature, we're going to have an area for them to go until we can transport, like we get everybody in so that they're not around the large population of students, then get them to our holding areas that we've created in the nurses station. But what if we have multiple kids beyond the 3 for the area in which we've established for holding areas?
Or have an issue where a student doesn't show a fever until later on during the day because they took Tylenol before they came to school.
Exactly. And then what do we do about the fact that parents won't answer the phone calls or they can't come to the school to pick them up? Then what do we do? So these are all the things that have come up and we're trying to work through them.
Not
So,
easy.
and then what do you do about the kids that are dropped off at 7:45 in the front of the building and the school doesn't open until 8:35 and they have to separate it 6 feet?
That's why I say teachers need to keep their mask on.
I don't disagree. I mean, because the rest of the work industry out there, as far as from the restaurants to the healthcare workers to everybody out there who's working, they keep their mask on. Now, I do have some creative thing. I did see something, Ms. Kirby, and I'm going to send it to you that I don't know how they could get them to us, but it was something really interesting where it's not meant for the mask, but it was something, a contraption where you put it in between the mask.
I saw
The
that.
mask is
It's
on.
like
Did
a
you see that?
I've seen that
Yes.
too.
A plastic cone that goes
Yes.
over your nose and mouth.
Yeah, I seen that on
Yes.
Facebook.
You were telling me about it.
Yes, and so I will. I've got the link to it. We're actually, believe it or not, McLean County, they're making this work. I mean, look, as I understand, there's so many what ifs, and as a parent who's my wife and I are having split time with working from home. We're seeing our 4th grader. Not kidding, he may be getting 40 to 45 minutes of actual school time right now, just based on with the breaks and, you're going so fast. Like, it's just, it's the gap for him is going to be so much widened when he starts back. It's, he's just not there yet. And he's always been sort of a grade behind. He's going to fall another grade behind. It's just going to be really hard for him. But as far as for the math side of things, I will send that to you because, they're making it work. I think they're on the hybrid side of things. And I agree, though, the Zoom side of things is maybe with the budgets and stuff that Fayette County potentially has from not anything from the fall, spring, is why hasn't there been talk of setting aside, like they're doing in some counties, where there's certain set of teachers that are just part of the virtual side of things? And I think that's maybe where the mistake was made, was going all in on the virtual and starting with those kids. I'm not sure if there was enough of them, because when they did the survey, as far as would you feel comfortable sending the kids back, when you had 70%, maybe they didn't have enough to feel like comfortable doing on the virtual learning. I mean, for the online academy, 100%. But that's where maybe if they just have us sit out the rest of fall, maybe that is taken more serious for the springtime, so that you have that set of dedicated teachers just doing the online virtual classes. Because it's not fair to the teachers to have to do both. I agree 110%. I don't know how they're going to do it. all day and monitoring that. But that's something better than anything with some of the kids that, that they're just not, my seventh grader staying on top of everything. He has Wednesdays off. I mean, it's because he's one of the kids that's staying on top of his schoolwork. We can't, how can we literally say that for the other? Are we being honest with ourselves that probably 10 to 50, it would say, I would be interested to see what the statistics are, but would you say 15% of the student body is taking that Wednesday serious, or are they taking that day off? Because a lot of their parents aren't home to push them like we're blessed to do so, to make sure you're on stay on top of the work. That's my concern when we look at this 3 months from now, 6 months from now than right now, because like you said, Ms. Kirby, we're kind of just rolling the way we can, right? Being flexible, doing everything I possibly can. But, I love the fact that you're wanting ideas, because anything we can do to try to make this work, to get them some class time work, because I think kids need it, will be very helpful to a lot of students.
I agree.
So I'll send you that link, because we do need to help our teachers.
I think I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw that. It was Shelly and I talking about it, because I keep sucking my mask into my mouth when I'm talking.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah,
I thought it was Shelly. Was it you, Shelly? No. Yeah. So
I think so, yeah.
Talking about that cone that goes inside of your mask that keeps it from collapsing into your mouth while you're talking.
The problem will be how you project your voice for the students are in the back in the classroom, because they're supposed to be spreaded in the classroom, because probably the first row they can hear you. And that's what what Ashley said about the microphone. It will be a great idea, because I'm worried about the other kids in the back. How you're gonna project your voice with the mask in your mouth.
Right. So larger monitors and microphones for 58 teachers.
That's gonna be rough.
Well, there goes that 30,000.
Well, how much is a monitor? How much is a bigger monitor though?
I don't know.
A lot.
100 and something.
150 bucks.
I
Probably.
mean, we've got to use Fayette County vendors, so no telling.
22 inches, 24 inches. That'll be.
Yeah, looking into that to get costs, because I know it'll be something that we may need to have like emergency call meetings as we get closer, because I'm going to go ahead and put this out here. It was shared with us, and this is all contingent. So please don't run out and tell everybody, oh, we're going back to school hybrid model after fall break. But that's what's going to be presented to the board. But ultimately, Manny did say that COVID-19 is driving this.
Did you see the news where they're saying there are more and more kids with the virus now?
Yes, I told my leadership team I was on SBDM meeting, and text messages flying. And I just saw that article. It says more than 500,000 students in our country have been diagnosed with COVID-19.
I'm going to interject.
They were just talking about Kentucky alone. Today.
Yeah, this was on the Governor Beshear page, and I was just like, okay. But also on the, I guess I'm the silver lining person, remember that? But we were having a conversation yesterday. Shelly, were you in there? About how the symptoms have lessened. Like I was talking to our nurse, Rachel, before she went out on medical leave. And she was saying that the virus is becoming intelligent because it was realizing that it was killing off the host. And now the symptoms are not as severe, and it's not respiratory, as it's more like nausea. No, it was Miss Allie. She was standing there. It wasn't you, Shelly. But it's more nausea, headache, that sort of thing, and just feeling totally wiped out. And the duration is still like the 10 to 14 days. So
I'll give you, so my nephew, his children go to private school, Seton, and they had to take, I'm not understanding how they did this or why they did this, but they did a contact trace. An adult had it. The contact trace made the kid take the test. She was positive. Guys, she'd been there for a week and a half. They're only making her be out of school till Thursday because she's not been sick. She was asymptomatic. If anything, obviously we got to protect our teachers, because at the end of the day, if you go to CDC and you look, yes, more kids are getting this, but the CDC still says there's no hospitalizations. Like the kids are fine. Now the issue is, like we've all discussed here, is we'll just get the teacher sick. That's
Right.
That's the reality of this, and so that's what you have to watch for. And it's good though. That's good news. A silver lining there, like you said, Ms. Kirby, that it is a positive that the virus is getting smarter with regards to how to, maybe it's turning into an actual cold, like it's supposed to be, without the reap the benefits of the elderly who are taking the hardest hit.
Right. And those with underlying health issues. And that's my biggest concern.
Mhm.
My staff, a lot of my staff members have underlying health issues and they are older. And yeah, kids, they may contract it and they'll be fine after a while. And it's like the worst cold or flu they've ever had. But what happens when my staff members are exposed to it? And that's my only concern. Like, I have to be, not my only concern, but that's at the forefront of my mind, that we have a lot of staff members who have underlying health issues and are older.
Ms. Kirby, I have a question, another one. If we do day A, let's say Monday and Thursday, it's gonna be half of the kids? Because I don't think.
No. So day A would become Monday, Tuesday. So those kids would come to school. So let's say I'm in group A. I would come to school on Monday, Tuesday. Then everybody's remote learning on Wednesday so that the custodians can do a deep cleaning and sanitizing of the entire building. And then group B would come on Thursday and Friday.
So those kids on Monday, let's say Monday and Tuesday, which is, let's say it's great, day A, they're gonna take their 7 classes and we're gonna have the whole kids, the 30 kids or 28 kids in a classroom? That's my question now. Or
No,
you're gonna
ma'am.
divide them?
They're gonna be divided. They're not all coming, no. So group A, so think of it as, like you would only have half of your class. Let's think about your first period class. We're gonna divide it in half. Half of those kids are gonna come on A day, half of those kids are gonna come on B days.
Okay. Now
So
I
you would only
understand.
have about, and we still have to go in, like, I don't know if someone from risk management is gonna come in and measure in our classrooms for us, or if we're gonna have to do it. Because we have tables, students can sit on either end of those tables. But if you have desks, then you can spread those out 6 feet. Well, we need to determine how many can be in a classroom at one time. And we, as you know, we have some classrooms that are larger and some that are smaller. But so we have to figure that all out.
So it's half of the class of the period.
Yes, it's half of the class. You would never have all 28 of those kids together in the room through a hybrid model.
So they will be really taking two classes per week.
In person.
So they would be getting, yes, 2 live classes per week, and then 3 either synchronous video, virtual, or asynchronous through Canvas.
I like your recording thing, Miss Kirby. I think that will be hard. I don't know how, who we know, what emails or something we need to send to, but I just think that will be extremely hard for the teachers to monitor the online kids for that hybrid thing. I think it's great to get them in person, get kids around each other. I can tell you there's a lot of kids there's some depressed kids out there. They're not,
Right.
we got to think about their mental health as well. I do think that's going to be a difficult task to do so.
And you're
so I hope
exactly
they come up
right, Travis, because even like take for instance my group, I have mainly 8th graders in my advisory group, and this generation are already recluse, introverted kids. And I think being in a virtual environment has made them more introverted and not willing to communicate and have conversation. I mean, I talk to black screens with names on it, and I'm like, "Hey guys, you can turn your camera on." And they're like, "Oh, we're fine." I was like, "You don't have to, but you can." And they're like, "Okay." And everybody just, I'm just talking to myself. It feels like I'm talking to myself. And, you know, I'm like, if you need anything, I'm here for you. And I got nothing.
It's
So,
it's hard. It's hard. We're seeing it from kids that I work with in my office where I work at with kids that just started high school, middle school. So any interaction is going to be great for them. I
yeah,
just wish there was a different alternative on the other days with regards to the kids staying at home. What can be thought of, and I'll do like everybody else on here and start asking questions at other school boards. Um, I've got a lot of family and other school boards, assistant superintendent and down in Rock Castle and stuff. I'll ask them kind of what they've been doing on those days. I'm sure Manny and them and Mr. Coffee have been talking this, but it's just that's gonna be tough. But that's better
yeah,
than nothing. So I'm a believer we
right,
got to get these kids around each other for a little bit. Because I'm
exactly.
just scared to death about this gap that's going to happen because I've got one that it will happen. It will occur.
Yeah. And even, I mean, and I totally agree with you because even with my own, like, she was 2 or 3 grade levels above her reading level, like, or her reading level. I'm interested to see what his map scores look like this year because he doesn't do much, if anything. Like when you
I mean,
said yours will get like
yeah.
45 minutes. I mean,
Think about this, Miss Kirby. Like Alec, straight A student kid,
mhm.
went from going from 35 hours a week to 10 with the virtual. Wednesdays off. If he stays on top of his stuff, what are we talking? 15 hours of actual schoolwork, of actual time. That's
Right.
that's
And
my
see, I had a
concern.
conversation, Travis, with a parent who was comparing our virtual schedule to another school. And what I explained to her was all of us pretty much have used the same model. All middle
Yeah,
school have used the same model. And like there was this article that came out and I was like, I'm gonna push that out to parents, but there's a lot of educational jargon in it. But it's like we have to rethink education, like because thinking of it as 35 hours or yeah, 35 hours per week. Well, there's a whole lot of downtime in the school. And I know like, but then there's like
that's
that
true.
socialization
Hmm.
and the interactions that's there. But that's why it's so important that um, we as educators, we understand that, okay, when we have those kids, it's important. We don't have time for fluff. We don't have time for the cutesy units that we love to do every year. We have to focus in on those essential standards and provide that because technology, Zoom fatigue is real. I just take case in point, I'm an adult. I should be able to handle this. But last Wednesday, being on a Zoom from 8:35 in the morning until 4:35 in the early evening, I was exhausted, didn't want to talk to anybody, didn't want to look at anybody, didn't want anyone to ask me a question. So just imagine what is that doing? How is that rewiring our children's brains? So after reading that article, I had a better understanding. Like I felt like we needed to have all 7 classes, but realistically, at the end of the day, like as long as we are focusing on those essential standards and giving grade level appropriate assignments and pushing the kids, um, I think they're in a better situation than they would had they been in school because, like I said, we got to trim the fat, we got to get rid of the fluff.
All right, and you're right. So there's got to be a way. There's got to be some brilliant idea out there of how we have them in school, and then
Right.
on the non-virtual days, like your idea of the video, only having them in front of the computer from 9 to 11:30, doing what they've done with the virtual now. There's got to be some way. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
there has to be a way of figuring that out
And I'm
to
with
help
you.
these
Like,
kids out.
it has to be a way to figure that out. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen your sons like in math class. There are
Oh
videos.
Lord, sweet Lord. Yes, I
Ashley,
have.
help me out here. But there are those little videos where that same woman, she's standing in front of a whiteboard and she's like teaching the steps.
Mm-hmm.
And those videos
Yeah.
are no more than like 2 or 3 minutes.
100%. No, hey, my son Bryce, he does his transition in the afternoon, transition classes, and mister
Mhm.
Watts gets on there and does that class. He does the recording. The beauty of that is, for someone like him, it takes a little bit of time to understand it. We on Monday, is it Monday or Tuesday? We rewatched Tuesday. We rewatched it 10 times just to get it, to make sure. That was awesome. I thought that was brilliant, very good for him, and he got it, and he felt good, and it wasn't frustration and telling the teacher to slow down and, hey, you can't see my hand, all of that.
Right.
So I don't know what it is. I hope we can find it before in a month.
Yeah, and that's what I was
Well,
thinking.
I
Like,
felt like if, sorry.
go ahead.
I felt like if these kids can learn all these dances from TikTok, they can
Boom.
watch
Yes.
my math lessons for a little bit and watch and learn some math.
I agree.
I know they can learn
Amen.
virtually.
Amen. Amen to that.
So I'm going to step out on a limb and present this to my chief that there might be is there a possibility that we have like recorded lessons that we push out to the kids that are at home and not try to teach virtually and kids in front of us simultaneously?
So for
And
the
I'll-
teachers on here, would Wednesday, okay, so how this is going to work is, Wednesday's clean day, right? So nobody's going to be in the school. So for
Right.
teachers on here, I'm asking your opinion, would Wednesday be the day of somehow pumping out a bunch of potential recordings, or would that be too difficult? Because I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing stuff off the wall here, but would that be something of setting up the lesson plan 2 weeks ahead of time and doing those 5-minute recordings, 7-minute recordings of the lesson, let them watch it over and over to help the kids on the non-days they will be in school?
That is where we have Imagine Learning in math, and Imagine Learning in reading. Right now on Wednesday, they're supposed to be doing 40 minutes, or they should be passing lessons. They should be doing 30 lessons a year. So if he does not have anything to do, he should be working his Imagine Learning and keep putting that on the run, because that will go through all the gaps he will have or she will have. And it will work, and he will be working, or she will be working on that in that area. And I don't know, in terms of putting little videos, we can use a puzzle if we get the license for that, because those are videos that the teacher can do. And in between each video, we can put some questions, so that way we know if they're getting the materials, and they can be answering questions inside the video instead of just watching a video by itself. It can be doing math problems or any other subject matter. So those are 2 ideas I can give you. And if you want him to do more work, you can put him also in Khan Academy. That's another way, or IXL. There's many different other resources that we can use if the child needs more work.
Oh, I know I excel all too well. Those questions, the math questions, holy goodness gracious. Woo.
Ed Puzzle's really good.
Yeah, I love Ed Puzzle. Yes.
So is that something we should purchase or look into purchasing?
I know part of it's free. I don't know, Abby, what comes if you purchase?
It only lets you like 20 videos that you can edit them, put questions, multi-choice questions between the inside the video, and that way you're confirming if they're doing it and they're working on it. But on the free version, because I was doing it, it only lets you only 20 videos to edit. So a license, that will be great for the teachers, because then they can customize the video according to the needs of the students, right?
Yeah.
And it's more easier for differentiate. And also they have already teachers that have made different ones that the teachers can just upload them and edit in the way that the student needs it. So that will be a great also idea.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
I love it.
We have the Screencastify that helps you record the videos, and then you upload.
But you cannot put questions. You cannot like.
No, I know.
Like,
I just meant you upload it from there to Ed Puzzle, and you make your question.
I like Ed Puzzle.
Yeah, I really do too.
It's very interactive and the teacher can be very creative with that. Yes.
Good
Okay,
ideas. I love this.
so we're gonna table hybrid because I'm gonna tell you now, hybrid model is going to be on our agenda. We'll old business, but that is going to stay on our agenda until we get this plan together. Just wanted to give you a little overview of student achievement. And right now we just started this week with MAP, and it's in the afternoon. So it does not take away from that synchronous time in class. So that's why the team elected to do it in the afternoon, because we realized that students were only getting so many classes per week in each content area. So I got a feedback from Ms. Johnson today, and she said that there have been some glitches and some things, but right now we're doing reading. And she said she's very confident in the fact that by next week, when we start doing math, then all those glitches have been worked out.
The
And
computer issue glitches are pretty good. Today was bad because map was just bad. Like we couldn't get on and it took forever. And I don't know if it's because so many people in the district were testing. So it was frustrating. We got them all on, the ones we tested today, but
yeah.
hopefully that'll be better, like you said, for next week.
And I was talking with one of our language arts teachers, and from my history of being a language arts teacher, and it was presented to me, it was like, well, should we spend 4 days testing? And I'm like, we should never, because on the reading test, there are only 42 questions. And so realistically, within 2 hours, a student needs to be finished. Like, so even when we go back to a face-to-face model, I really feel like there needs to be more training with that and understanding of the, like for the students, because I think what happens in elementary, they're given so much time to work on it, but we need to, not really that it's a time test, but we need to get them in the confounds of 2 hours and that's it. And so maybe we need to just shut the building down and do a, what is it, standardized testing type of schedule where we're in the morning, we're going to do map reading.
I think in terms of, I'm an ELL student all my life also as well. Remember that there are students that they need more time to process when they don't master the language they're taking the test. So in their behalf, I'm saying that first I prefer that the test next time, if it's possible, that to be in the morning, because students perform better in the morning. And don't constrain the time for some of them that they will need more time. And math, it's 50 something math problems, and as they go involved of them, they get more difficult and difficult, and the same thing happens in the reading part, it's get more difficult for them. So I don't know about constraining to 2 hours would be a good idea in the best effort to measure the data in terms if they're growing or not. Putting that pressure and time will not be a good idea for the students, I'm saying.
Yeah, but like what I'm saying is, like, take for instance, last winter, there were students 2 weeks later still trying to take the test. That's why we had that problem, because during December they were testing and we're not finished before fall or winter break. And then they try to come back in January and test again. Like,
No,
we gotta
that's
cut it
different.
off.
You're talking about weeks or days. That's different.
Right. What I'm saying, like, there were other cases. Like, I'm not talking about math, because me. I know what I know, language arts. And so, and when I taught, like, there are 42 questions. You read the passage, you answer the question, and you got to move on. There were some students that were given a lot of time. They missed classes several days in a row. That's my point. Like, they did not take 6 hours to take a 42 question assessment.
I understand your point now. Okay.
Yes. And it's like dragging it out. And then the test scores were horrible because the communication was, well, this doesn't matter. Spring only matters. No, every time you take the universal screen,
You're
matters.
comparing the data. Yeah, if they're growing
Right.
or not. Mhm.
So that was my conversation with the language arts teacher. Like when it comes to math, I realized that there's like 58 questions. It probably would have taken me a couple of days. And that's a valid point about EL and like, but I believe that they do get accommodations based on what's in their LAC. Is that what it is? LAC?
I don't
Language.
know how they call it.
No, that's the Language Acquisition Conference. But there is a kind of like an IEP for EL that has like their accommodations. And so therefore they should receive more time. And so I think like in the past, we've had students to assess with the EL teacher because they had more time.
And
then,
I don't know if there are accommodations by law over here also is that they have to have a dictionary. And I don't know if that in Kentucky is the case as well, because all the testing they take is with a dictionary that it doesn't.
but
give
not with a
definition
universal
of the word.
screener. The universal screener, no, not with the universal screener. It's with standardized testing and
Like math testing and KPET,
yes.
right? Okay.
Math testing is different because that's just truly assessing what the student knows without assistance. Now, if they have an IEP and they need a scribe or a reader, or like in math, they have to have like a calculator or something of that nature, then that can be added. But just like, for instance, like in kindergarten, when kids take the map, there is a teacher there who is reading the questions to them and they give the answer. So that's the type of accommodations that can be given. But on that, they can't have the dictionary.
Okay.
But standardized testing, yes, that's law. They have to. So that data is being collected right now. We should be finished in the next week and a half. And so next month, we will have that data to take a look at as a council, okay? Is
I
there
was gonna say
other
my
business?
first
I'm sorry.
grader took me to take the math test, and they gave him 2 hours for it for reading, and then another 2 hours for math, and then that's it that they have planned for it for the week.
Yeah, same thing happened with Abby. It was like, you need to have this done by this time. I was like, oh, wow, that's a difference. Any other business?
No, ma'am.
Public comment? Okay, well, the time is now 6:09 and I would like to call this meeting adjourned.
I second it.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper.
Bye.
All right, bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
So if you all think of ideas on how we can do this hybrid model, let me know, email.
I'll give
Okay.
you that idea.